Hello, my name is Bailey Hennings, and for the Banned Book Report, I will be presenting Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. It was written by Anne Frank, and the version I have was edited by Mirjam Pressler, and the introduction was by Nadia Murad. So, to summarize the book, The Diary of a Young Girl is the real-life diary of Anne Frank, a Jewish teenager who went into hiding with her family in Amsterdam during the Nazi occupation of World War II. From 1942 to 1944, Anne wrote about her daily life inside the secret annex, her fear of discovery, the tense relationships amongst the 8 people in hiding, and even her own emotional and intellectual growth. She reflects on her hopes, frustrations, her developing identity, and her dreams of being a writer. She actually, I forget what year, but she first started writing just to write. She got the diary as a gift from like Christmas, or not Christmas, Hanukkah. And then during the war, in the newspaper, someone talked about wanting to collect diaries of people who survived and turn them into a novel. So she started writing in hopes that her diary would be included in that novel. So that's when her dreams of being a writer really started to show in her writing. And in August 1944, the group was discovered. It's not known if they were betrayed or discovered by chance. There is a theory that her family, she talks about in the book, the man with their food stamps, some problems with him getting arrested at some point. So there is a theory that the officers that found them came just to inspect their fraud in food stamps and them getting food illegally, and just happened to find the bookshelf that was hiding the secret annex. But there's also theories of other people who might have sold them out. I forget the name of the one guy that was a few years after the World War II ended. He was investigated, but ultimately no one was arrested for giving them up. So they were all arrested. Anne died in Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. Her father, Otto Frank, who was the only survivor out of her family, published her diary after the war, and in this edition, there are restored passages that show more of Anne's personality, her humor, and her complexity. And the introduction by Nadia Murad connects Anne's story to modern struggles against persecution and violence. So her diary was published first in June 25th, 1947 in the Netherlands. And it was published in late modernism, post-World War II literature, and early postmodernism. That was the literary eras it occupied. So regarding censorship, there is a common theme with parents complaining about how sexual it is. In the diary, Anne writes about her sexual discoveries and becoming a woman and the changes her body is going through while she's in hiding. And there was lots of complaints with schools about this being pornographic. A few examples of when this was either challenged or banned was August 2022. Keller Independent School District in Texas ordered librarians to remove an illustrated adaptation, Anne Frank's diary, the graphic adaptation, because it was seen as too graphic and too sexual for kids and basically pornographic. The earliest ban I saw was in Wise County, Virginia in 1982. Parents complained about the book being sexually offensive, leading to its censorship. And the most recent I found was August 2025. Hillsborough County, Florida, pulled over 600 books, including The Diary of Anne Frank, due to state board pressure. But like I said, the most common reason cited for censorship and banning were concerns about age appropriateness, particularly regarding Anne's developing sexuality and bodily changes, claims of historical inaccuracy, and then the book's depressing nature and religious and political objects. So those are all the reasons it was brought forward to be banned. So the key cultural and other conflicts that were explored in the book were Jewish persecution under Nazi rule, of course, war and oppression versus individual humanity, generational and gender tensions, and interpersonal conflict created by confinement. So how the book goes about critiquing and representing those judgments is critique of anti-Semitism and oppression, humanizing those targeted by violence, critique of social expectations placed on young women, and exposure of internal conflict under extreme conditions. One specific scene that really, I feel like, shows this tension was Anne's reflection on hearing the news of Jewish deportations. It shows cultural and human conflict clearly, and this was in the spring of 1943. She writes about hearing that the Jews were being taken in droves to concentration camps and that no one returns from them. She describes children torn from parents, families separated, and the fear that they would be next. The passage shows really just the brutality of Nazi cultural ideology and how outside oppression shapes daily life inside, and Anne's personal struggle between hope and despair. So the literary and social impact, it became one of the most widely read accounts of the Holocaust, shaping how generations understand the humane cost of genocidal hatred. It brought up conversations about children's experiences in war, anti-Semitism, human rights, and genocide prevention. Personally, I think this book is very worth the read. It was on my to read anyways. I was really excited to buy this book and read it. It's worth reading because it provides a unique perspective to human life and the tragedies we learned about regarding the Holocaust, and just reading the horrors that this young girl is going through and her viewpoints on it and her perspective really just, it was striking. And I feel like it's different reading what a girl really wrote in her diary than, oh yeah, this happened to these people. It hits harder. And I feel like it's very important because it teaches empathy. Personally, it didn't challenge any of my thinking. I learned from this book just how much was taken away from Jewish families even before the genocide started. Like, ordinary rights, like movement, work, school attendance, and basic safety were all systematically taken away. There is a really powerful passage about and just listing off everything that was taken away from them before the war even started. Before the genocide even started. And it's heartbreaking. I would strongly defend this being taught in schools and placed in libraries for children to have access to. I feel like it's very important for teaching empathy in the context of history and providing a real perspective for kids reading about a girl their age going through this and how this can happen to anyone, not just, people far, far away. And I feel like it's a very important read. It teaches a lot. It shows a lot. And I was very, very happy to read it. Bye-bye.